Well, hello there, Xzen here. I've decided to give you a breakdown of my strategy for Shadow Raid, either solo or co-op. This works fine, but in co-op it makes it go even faster, nonetheless in solo. First and foremost, I put the thermal paste right there because you're not doing anything with it until you get over there anyway, so why not just keep it all centralized into one location alongside everything else that you'll be using for this particular build, or planning. And I use the main cargo area for my body bags here because that's what's most convenient for me. But you can put it pretty much anywhere if you feel it's more convenient for you in some other spot. But for me, having it right in the main cargo area beside the stairs is what works best for me and my buddies when we're playing it. Now, additional mission equipment will be the loot drop-off in the west compound. The waterfront garbage. Yeah, and you'll see why I place it there when we actually get underway with the mission. But it has to be that one, the one by the waterfront. The waterfront garbage dump is the one you want. And just make sure your loadout is kitted for stealth. I'll go into details about the build I used for this particular run. This particular run was not even on my usual build that I used to use for this. I'll go over that after the video, though. But first, let's just get into this, and just know that you should keep your kit, keep your concealment as low as possible. And you don't have to highlight that guard. I just did it for the heck of it. Okay, now, you don't even have to open up that grate immediately. And that guard right there, by the way, I should note real quick, he's always there on Death Wish, somewhere in that back alley. He could be down those stairs and around the corner, and those stairs in the distance there. He could be down those and around the corner. But he's always there on Death Wish. And there could be a camera down those stairs as well, so always watch for that. But yeah, you don't have to open up that manhole immediately, and you don't have to throw him in that manhole particularly either. I just did that this particular time for the heck of it. Now you grab your thermal paste, and I backtracked here because I remembered, whoops, I forgot to do something. The reason I opened this manhole is because I burned this grate. Now I know this seems like the usual thing you would do in Shadow Raid so far, but watch what I do next. I pretty much just set that one and forget it. I pick up this thermal paste and I run back over here, down these stairs, on that wall right up there to the right. That's where a camera could be. So just always watch for that. Now you can go open this garbage and clip these fences. Sometimes a guard could be by that door right there, along with a camera as well, so watch for that. You want to light this thermal paste. Also, that door, if it's closed, leave it closed for as long as possible. Because if you open it, it'll start attracting guards. It's weird as hell, but it happens. Sometimes they'll step outside. There even. Now run to the end of this hall here and get the crowbar. Just assign whoever's going to get that and go grab that crowbar. We're talking co-op play there, though. Say, you go grab that crowbar and I'll go do this. But for solo, go grab that crowbar and you're ready. You're set. Now you see, that's one bit of the RNG. That guy could have been stationary. And that really can get frustrating. But just be very wary of this particular room, because it can be a pain in the ass RNG-wise. And sometimes, I mean that even as far as loot, you could have absolutely nothing, like that crate right there. Absolutely nothing in it. And then sometimes you'll get an artifact, and it's wonderful. And then there's this weapon over here. That's sometimes here. It's risky, so I'd watch the hell out, especially with that stairwell there. I'd watch the hell out getting that, and probably save it for a last break when you have nothing else that you can grab and you still need that one more bag. Right here's a little bit of luck I had. If that guard was any further up, I would have probably been instantly spotted, the one in that hallway back there. But you want to be very careful. Try to get quick peeks as much as you can. Now, I take this area through, but it's not a guarantee that there's not going to be any guards in there just waiting to be like, "Argh!" So, yeah. And these lockers are good about stuffing cocaine, so you can look for them. And up on top of that furnace control unit or whatever it is, next to that camera back there, sometimes that'll have cocaine on top of it. And those boxes up there have some money on them sometimes, the one with the split in the top. Right here I got an artifact. You'll notice I ignored it for now because it's a slow-moving object. I want to see if that guard would move first. It turns out he was stationary this time, but that's not always the case. And then I went around and opened up these crates trying to find some really light stuff to carry. Found the cocaine and immediately grabbed it because it's my favorite thing to carry in this mission. Not to mention its weight to value ratio is pretty damn solid. So I go back over here with my nice stash of cocaine, toss it right in. Always be wary of this room. I cannot stress that enough. Always be wary of this room. Because those guards like to swarm it sometimes, and there's really nothing you can do about that. Sometimes RNG rolls will just screw you up in this, and there's no strategy I can give you for that. Unfortunately. But this is my basic rundown. And me and just one other buddy have been able to run this mission pretty consistently in right around 10 minutes with this strategy. But you'll see I carry it out here. And also be careful where these bags land. Try to get them as close to that grate as possible. Like right there. Or even just leave them behind it if you want to. I just put them right here for a little bit of convenience. And I found I can get away with it. But if you want to take ultra safe, just leave it behind the grate. They can usually spot it, or sometimes they can spot it from way up on top of the roof and really screw you over. So just, you know, yeah. Try to keep them as hidden as possible. I decided that since this guy wasn't going to move, now is about as good a time as any to get that artifact and get it out of the way. Toss it in there, and voila, we're good. Run right past the camera. I got lucky because, like super lucky, because I did not see that civvy and I ran right past his face. I'm really lucky he didn't get alerted. So you really need to be careful, more careful than I was. I know I'm being a bit of a hypocrite here when I say be careful, and I'm sitting here running like a nincompoop straight past civilians and stuff, but be more careful than I was. I decided to refill my body bag and have, you know, 2 at the ready whenever I would need it. Then I immediately, since I was running out of time here for the drop of either people or an extra artifact crate, I was running out of time with that, I noticed, so I decided to make the break for up here since I was pretty much done clearing the bottom floor anyway. I got it. You always have time for packages, come on now. Oops. See, the dog walk parade, as we like to call it in my group. The dog walk parade is inbound. I started picking this door instead of the other one. Usually I'll pick the other one first, but I noticed right here, yeah, there's a crate inbound, so it's not more people. So I wanted to see if this guy was going to move, or if he was also sitting there stationary. That has happened before. I've even had it where 2 of them are looking at each other for the entire mission. So I decided to go over here and pick this door open while I waited to see what would happen with him. And once I pick that open, I go back over here, see if he has moved. And the verdict is, nope, he has not moved. I'm thinking to myself at this moment, crap, is he stationary? Please don't be stationary. Then I decided, you know what, I'm not going to take the chance. I tried to shoot him through the wall there. That's not a thing. Now, watching the distance, though, I got really nervous, and you'll see why. Right here at the end of the pager answering. Oh, shit. I see a light. So I bag this up. And right there, as soon as I get done bagging him, a guard comes through. Now I peek around, and whoop, there he is. I'm thinking, no, come on. Do not be a stationary replacement, like, instantly. You've got to be joking, right? It was. It was pulling my chain for a second there. Went ahead and grabbed this cocaine, tossed it off the side. Be sure to get this as close as you can to the building, by the way. Whatever you throw down there, just try to be sure that you get as close to the building as you can. Just for safety's sake. Now, I don't usually do what I do here. I tried to shoot this guy through the door several times. I thought he was over there, and I thought, no, he's over there, no, he's over here. Then I just decided to wait and try to get the highlight and then shoot him through the door. I just wanted to see if I could do it with this particular build like this. But usually what you do is you just pick the door and go in, then you bust his head off. He always drops a key card. Always. By the way. Him and the civvy that wears an orange jumpsuit and yellow hat. They are a guaranteed key card. Sometimes the server can be there, and if it's not there, it's in the back where the other door is. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And sometimes in that back room that I'm about to go to here, alongside that server can sometimes be a little cache of money under the desk. You'll notice I check for that here after I drop the server off. But it's not always there. Sometimes, though. At this point, I think I had like 11 bags. I think I had like 11 bags ready to drop. Excuse me. Ready to drop at this point. No, this was my 11th bag. There's sometimes money there as well, and sometimes you can have a painting in this hallway. It's very randomized. And in a way, that's one of those things that I have mixed feelings about, but overall I think I enjoy about Shadow Raid, is the randomization. It's just, in terms of the guards, that's where the biggest pain in the ass and randomization can come in. Yeah, so the randomized events in terms of guards can be really wonky, and they can give you some really bizarre setups. Now I'm going to take this moment to talk a little bit while I'm putting these away. Like I haven't already been talking. Yeah, you know. You haven't been talking at all this entire time, Xzen. You need to talk more. But yeah, I got really lucky a couple times in this run. Just know to be a little bit more careful, and your success rate goes up a little bit more. Like I said about that door, leave it closed as long as you can. I do eventually open that up later down the line. Spoiler alert. But as long as you haven't moved any bags or anything, leave it alone. And I usually just leave it alone the entire mission. You don't even have to necessarily ever open it up. But sometimes there's some loot in the basement, and if you need one more bag or so, then it might be worth the risk of having maybe one more guard or something to deal with. Especially if you have the pagers. Always try to, keep a count of your pagers. If you don't have Hoxhud, just try to keep a count of your pagers somehow, like mentally, or write it down or something. I would recommend Hoxhud. It's really helpful to know how many pages you have left that you can answer. But yeah, you'll see that I move everything that I have so far right to the bin. You and one other buddy can do this. And, well, you'll have it pretty much completely moved by this point. It depends on the loot you get. I've had a run where I've gotten, like, I think 5 or 6 artifacts before. So half of my loot was artifacts. Or was it more? It could have been more. Can't quite remember. It was a hefty amount of them. Because it's like we got the artifact drop-off. We got the artifact right off in the room. And then we got the artifact that was... Basically, everything we opened up was, like, turning into artifacts, it felt like. It was like every other crate. And just, oh, there's an artifact here. It was a pretty laugh-worthy time we had with that one. But you can imagine how arduous it felt to move that thing. Speaking of, here's the dreaded thing right now. Ugh, look how slow it is. If this thing is sped up right now, that's why. If it's not, then I decided to let you see for yourself just how painful it is to move one of these. And this is actually with like movement speed for bags and stuff up. So yeah, you can't get any faster than this, folks. Look at that. Just look at him go, man. He's gonna win a sprint race with that. It's like NASCAR. Look how fast I'm going. The G-forces. That's what's holding me back. I'm just going so fast it's now G-forces just pushing me back. So it looks like I'm going slow. See, so I make the decision to open this door And really, like I said, it's never necessary. What I should have done anyway is just went back down in the sewers and back around. And my bad, I had the count wrong. It was 9 bags, you'll see up there in the corner. But there was another package down here and some more cocaine. That made up 10 bags. See, so sometimes it can have some loot, but really it's worth just saving it for like a last ditch on maybe like the very last thing you need and you can't find it anywhere else. But in that case, you might as well go like courtyard and try to get a bag or so. Which in this video, I never touched the courtyard. So if you guys want me to show you how I clear the courtyard, which isn't anything really special, but if you want to see how I clear the courtyard, just leave me a comment below and I might do a separate video for that. But I don't know. Like I say, it's nothing really special. There's no particular order organized way, and that's very random as well. So really most of your good stuff, like Bane pretty much literally tells you, is in here. So I come back, I grab this money, I toss it down, and you'll notice that I also have the other thing right in the middle, the second artifact of our run here, right in the middle.
They're all over the place.
I never opened it. I don't think. No, I did. Okay, yeah. Excuse me, I forgot. Yeah, but I left it there because it was not worth the risk when I had lighter stuff that I could move and get ready and then put away first. And maybe I would have enough for baseline to escape, or to trigger the escape, I should say.
Over here.
But yeah, I just keep my eyes on the guards, and pretty much when I'm carrying an artifact, just pro tip here, when I'm carrying an artifact, I keep my finger ready on my crouch button at all times, and I just usually walk it. I usually just walk it for as long as I can, and then when I get a bleep, I hit the crouch button, so that way it'll make the ping go away. Now, if they're right in front of your face, you see right there's what I'm talking about. That guard could have been a lot closer, and I would have had to deal with it. I go the careful route, go around the back here, and watch. He's not there anymore, though. He turned away as soon as he saw something. I don't want to deal with that. But yeah. So I get this artifact, and that'll be the last thing that I need right there for baseline escape. Anything after that is just dependent on just how greedy you feel like getting. Well, I said I didn't cover the courtyard. What I mean as a whole, I didn't. I covered one thing in the courtyard, and that is the artifact that we got there as well. Yes, I carry a third artifact. I can never resist. They're slow as molasses, but I, for some reason, can just never resist going and grabbing them. And I aim high to make sure this thing can fall in, and bam. And there we go. I have everything I need for escape. Woohoo! But yeah, I decided, okay, I'm going to show you how I use this. Since I opened it, I'm going to show you how... I'm going to show you how I use it. Basically. So what I do is I use this manhole. I go up here. And sometimes there's money in here, sometimes there's not. This particular time, no such luck, no money. But if there was any in there, I'd take it, I'd throw it down the sewer there as well. This little civvy right here was a nuisance for a little bit. But I decided while I wait on him, I'm just going to go and take care of something else. Move! Move! Move. I will shoot. Okay, no, I won't shoot. I won't shoot. Or will I? I actually stood there long enough for my highlight to come into play. But yeah, I decided to go over here and waste 7 seconds picking a lock than just sitting there the whole time. Why? Because who knows?
Got one over here.
And then I come back, and there's a civvy walking back over here, and I thought for a second, is he going to replace that guy in a cycle? They kept going, luckily. Keep your eyes on that guard right there next to the gate. Because, yeah. Well, just the gate in general, because there could be guards over there that have a nice knack of spotting you. I mean, keep an eye on your whole surroundings, but especially that gate when you're transporting this thing, especially fast like this. I always take this risk of like moving it as fast as I can in walking position and just keeping myself ready with crouch. But if your reflexes are not good or you just don't feel comfortable with that, crouching is probably the way to go. But yeah, basically what I do is I throw other loot that I decide to get greedy with in that side of the courtyard. I throw it down this, and I use this grate to transport it straight out this way towards the van. This artifact is the last thing that I pick up, though. And it's kind of funny when you haven't put anything else in the... Well, you'll see. But when you haven't put anything else in the van at this point, you get a funny bit of dialogue. Or at least it's funny to me, just due to its context. But, yeah.
Stay invisible.
I just want to go ahead and say ahead of time, though. When I cover this build that I use for this particular run, A, it's not the usual build I run, and B, there's just a few things that I would even deem necessary in it. But we'll discuss that over there in the next section of this video. So, I will see you over there, I hope. Maybe I haven't bored you too much at this point with this video. Alright, so the build that I used, seeing as how it didn't work out too badly, I'm going to start in the perk deck. You don't need Burglar. Hell, you don't really even need any perk deck. If you don't have Burglar, just go something generic like Rogue or whatever floats your boat. Because really none of these do anything super beneficial for Shadow Raid outside of Burglar, and even then it's not a must-have to complete it with this strategy. Just the setup is the biggest thing amongst very few other skills in the basic skill trees. I have one thing in Mastermind, Endurance, and even it's not necessarily super important. So if you can't build this into the build, it's no biggie, but it just helps a little bit with being able to move, you know, across the distance in Shadow Raid for a little bit longer. And Enforcer, you should really spec into Transporter, pretty much for any heist, because the extra speed for carrying bags and throwing them a little bit farther, for the most part, is quite helpful. So I think it's kind of become one of those basic essential skills for a lot of folks in basically any build, even combat ones. Straightforward. And there's a lot of moving of bags in Shadow Raid, so there's that too. Technician, none of this is necessary at all. You could skip this tree and be all for the better, but if you feel like you're ever going to push your luck, or, you know, use this, you know, build for any other stealth missions, go ahead, throw in all the drilling stuff. You're good to go. And you can use it for a lot of other missions in stealth that way. Then there's the ghost side, and this is where things become a little bit more important, especially in co-op. The big ones here, though, is to try and get up to ECM Overdrive Basic for the duration. And then, of course, you want to ace lockpicking expert, so that way you get all the lockpicking interaction speed up. But the big important ones here are the ECM jammers, when we're talking from the stance of just Shadow Raid, ignoring that it's useful for other stealth missions as well. Shadow Raid specifically, it's handy to have these, especially in co-op, when you have just a couple more bags to run, and you're about to get screwed over because you don't have that last page to answer and all. You can throw one of these babies down, keep your eye on the clock, about 30 seconds or something like that. You have to run around and grab some more loot. You have that time to run around and get more loot. And that can make all the difference. It has a couple of times. It saved it from being completely botched for me in quite a few runs. But yeah, so that's the big thing from this build. But solo-wise, it could save you, but yeah. And fast hands, of course, is a given. It's basically up there with transporter. It's one of those things that's like, yeah, you're going to be doing this a lot in this game. This is one of those things you want to spec into. So ace fast hands, and at least get ECM specialist, so that way you can place the 2 jammers. But I would recommend acing this, owning this, and getting lockpicking aced. Cat burglar I have just because I don't like taking damage from a fall, and there are a few sheer falls in Shadow Raid. Like, I can just jump over the railing to get down rather than climbing down to get the bags in that particular area where I stored them all. So it saves a little bit of time just getting to it rather than having to go all the way around and then climb down and then go over. You can just jump over and voila, you're there. Fugitive tree. I have aced Hidden Blade, and I went with Daredevil for a lack of anything better, because I really just wanted Wintstone Wolf, just in case I did have to kill civvies. This is especially helpful in co-op. It helps you maximize your profits, if that's of a concern to you. I like maximizing my profits, just for the heck of it, really. I like playing this game in that way. Anyway, not to get sidetracked any further here, I got it for that particular reason, but it's not necessary. The necessary things here, really, not really any of it. But run and gun helps you get a little bit of extra movement speed, and is a nice partner to the sprinter here. Sorry. Yeah. And I think there was one other speed up thing. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's a nice partner to several other skills in helping speed you up. So it's great in that regard, but not necessarily necessary. Hidden Blade helps you get extra concealment on your weapons, which gives you a little bit more wiggle room on what you can use in your inventory. But again, not necessarily necessary. I would ace Hidden Blade, though, if you are not going to ace Shinobi and go baseline there. I would ace Hidden Blade definitely, just to get the same effect. There's no need to ever have both of them, though. It doesn't go beyond a 95% effect, as far as I know. So that's pretty much it. Basically, all of your useful stuff is, of course, right in Ghost. So if you wanted to go very watered down basic, I would say ace Transporter, and then go with all of this in Ghost. And that is basically everything you need. But outside of that, everything else is pretty much just convenience. This build can be used to specifically stealth other missions with a little bit more ease and comfort as well. And it has the same weakness, really, as my Jack of all trades build, in that it's kind of weak in combat, I'll say. But outside of that, I mean, especially so without any dodge to back you up, but you're not going to need that in Shadow Raid, really. It's about getting in there and getting out quiet. But if you can afford all of these, go for it. And there's even some of these that I haven't spec'd out that I would spec out further just for other missions in general. But we're not talking about those right now. Anyway, the next part of this video is going to show you some things that I forgot to mention. I know you're wondering, why don't I just tell them here? Well, organization's sake. Alright, now for some quick tips and things that I just outright forgot to mention. This first one is self-explanatory, but the water in Shadow Raid can be used to get rid of bodies entirely. So you just throw it in there and it's like a wishing well, except dead bodies instead of pennies. The next thing is your loadout that you use doesn't really matter, but just keep a low detection rating. That is the thing to keep in mind. I'd say 10 or less. The next thing is shotguns can push the people that you kill them with. It can push them backwards. So what can happen is you can either push them out or they can spin in place and fall forwards into the view path. So try not to depend on it too much, but it can be useful. The camera room dude has a chance to sometimes bug out. He has done this to me on a couple of occasions and just screwed me over entirely. I'll be sitting there picking a lock, and then all of a sudden, boom, he sees me through the door. I think what happens there is it's probably when I'm hugged up right next to the door rather than being a little bit back from it, and my gun or something clips through it, and he probably sees it. That's my best guess on that. So either do what I did in the video and shoot him through that, which isn't necessarily recommended unless you have like burglar or something to pick faster or something. And even then, I would just say try to stand back a little bit farther from the door and pick it from there just to be on the safe side. And the last one here is drills are for daredevils and the desperate. And trust me, I have been both of these. Daredevils are those who have all the loot they need to complete the mission, and they decide they want to go after more anyway in the gates for some reason. And then there's the desperate who need that one more bag to complete and can't find it anywhere else, it so seems. And really here is why I have any of the drilling stuff in the perks that I showed before. So this is a last resort method, or just if you're really, really feeling lucky, because there's that wait time of about 30 seconds or something like that per gate. And I've actually had it where my friend got stuck in one of those before because of the drill. It was only like mostly quiet, not completely silent. And well, a guard came up after he went in there to grab the loot and just stood there and looked at the gate and just stood there and just stood there. We eventually had to shoot the guard and jam and run, like jam, shoot the guard and run for it. It was interesting. But yeah, just know that drills are for the desperate and daredevils only in this thing. And that's what I mean. But that is all for this video. Please remember to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more content, or have easier access to do so. I'll be putting out content. Even if you don't subscribe, please subscribe though. Don't hurt my feelings. Anyway, on to the next great thing, ladies and gentlemen.